Popcap Games. For those of you who don't recognize that name, look at this. Now seeing this logo, something clicked in most people's brains, but for the last few scumbags who still don't get it, they are the company who made Plants vs. Zombies. Now everyone gets it. They went from consistently putting out some of the most memorable gaming experiences ever to doing this. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about who they were, what they made, what went wrong, and all that. So PopCap had an odd start to say the least. They originated in Seattle, Washington under the name Sexy Action Cool, and their first game was a strip poker game called Foxy Poker. The reason they did this was in an attempt to make enough money to fund their real games, but unfortunately they decided to have their strip poker game be censored, so of course it made close to no money. Not to be deterred, they decided to just make the game they wanted to make and bank on it being a success. And boy was it. Kind of. See, the game they decided to make was Bejeweled, but this iteration of Bejeweled was a free browser game. With this getting attention, they then made a real Bejeweled game after taking it to Microsoft. And boy was it actually a success, selling over 10 million copies. This made PopCap an established developer, and they were finally able to pursue all the games they wanted to make. Fun fact, the browser game was originally called Diamond Mine because Jason Kapalka, the CEO of PopCap, wanted to name all of his games using Canadian classic rock conventions, or something, but Microsoft had them change it due to it being too similar to another game, Diamond Mines. They suggested Bejeweled. After Bejeweled, they put out Alchemy, which I can confirm did exist. I find that they have a lot more small games that no one has ever heard of than you would think. Like, a lot. So I'm only going to mention the hits from this era. Anyways, a couple more lukewarm games later, they finally hit it big again with their very own Insane Aquarium. Then, a year later, we got everyone's favorite, Bookworm. Now when I was younger, I didn't play this one as much, cause I'm not a nerd, but it's still pretty fun. The game from that same year that I did play nonstop was the one, the only, Zuma. Zuma is so good. I know Bejeweled was revolutionary for the time, and yeah, it's fun and all, but at this point, it's been done so many times, I just can't see a world without it. Zuma, on the other hand, is just so unique, even today. If you haven't played it, and you want to give it a try, just hit up my Steam account at Robin Williams, and I'll send you a Steam code. Anyways, moving on. After Zuma, we got another smash hit, Feeding Frenzy. And this game is weird for me because I remember the name, I remember the art, I remember searching for it on Wild Tangent Games, but for the life of me, I don't remember playing it. Either way, it's fun. Moving on. It was in the same year that we got Bejeweled 2, along with Astropop. These were both sold together on Xbox Live Market. After that, we got Chuzzle, which I think sold well, but I can't find any numbers online, and I've never heard anyone else mention it, so who knows. After Chuzzle, we got an instant classic, or so I hear because I would never play it because I'm not a nerd, I swear I've never played it, Bookworm Adventures. I've been told by my friends who are nerds that this one is a lot of fun, and that you should play it. That same year, we got Feeding Frenzy 2, which is also great. Now for these games, I've been trying to use as few words as possible that give away the time in between release dates, just to emphasize the point I'm about to make. During this era of PopCap, they worked non-stop. In 2002 alone, they released 8 full games. It's obvious that PopCap had been planning this for a while, just waiting for the opportunity to pump out all the games they had wanted to make. Now, if it seemed like I was repeating myself a lot, not super interested in the previous segment, it's because when writing this script, I was really just trying to get to this part. The diamond era of PopCap. And what better way to start off this era than with Peggle? Peggle is so good. Obviously, it isn't my favorite PopCap game for 2009 related reasons, but still, Peggle really is something else, you know? The gameplay, just right. The characters, just right. The difficulty, just right. This game truly is amazing. Now, all the praise I gave Peggle, right? Take all that and amplify that, because it's time to talk about debatably my favorite PopCap game and my sixth favorite game of all time, Peggle Knight. It's Peggle, but calmer, more peaceful, a lovely soundtrack, fun development with the characters from the original Peggle, and this squid lady. She's also there for some reason. All in all, this game is amazing. And now, we get to what you've all been waiting for. PopCap's magnum opus. Bejeweled Twist. See, it's like Bejeweled, but you twist the jewels in groups of 4. Oh, also after that, this game called Plants vs. Zombies came out. I hear it's pretty good. All jokes aside, Plants vs. Zombies was something else, you know? There really isn't any good reason to tell you about how good it is because you've probably played it yourself. So, yeah, Plants vs. Zombies was really the peak of PopCap in terms of both quality and popularity. On a side note, was anyone else scared of the screaming that your character did after they died, or was that just a little scared baby boy? No! Then Zuma's Revenge came out, and I have personally never played it, but it looks pretty fun. It's like Zuma, but with more impactful power-ups, and you can move the frogman's position around to the board. So that looks pretty neato. Later that year, Bookworm Adventures 2, which once again, my friends who are nerds unlike me that play dumb spelling games because they're nerds, say this game is fun. And while I cannot confirm it's good because I am not a nerd, I will say that in 2009, PopCap put out Plants vs. Zombies, Bookworm Adventures 2, and Zuma's Revenge. These 3 games would go on to become possibly their 3 most popular games. So that's pretty wild. Bejeweled Blitz, Bejeweled Blitz, Bejeweled Blitz, Bejeweled Blitz. Now, as much as I would love to leave it at that, this game is actually pretty important. It started as one of those Facebook link games, but more importantly, it was published by EA. This was the first game with the Blitz tag, which was used to refer to these Facebook games, and all of the Blitz games were eventually released as standalone mobile games. Luckily for Bejeweled fans, they were not left hanging and would get Bejeweled 3, a solid game, later that year. In 2010, we got Zuma Blitz, which, as you can guess, it was a Facebook game that was later released on mobile. And so the last game in the Diamond era was a Facebook game. Not the most graceful exit, but that's okay. This rushed, crappy Facebook game would only be the edge of the cliffside that is PopCap's quality. Fun fact, another Bejeweled game called Bejeweled Legends was planned for 2012, but it was only released in Japan. Even when it's an American-based company, they still get Japanese exclusives. Okay. Please release Bejeweled Legends in America, PopCap. Alright, I don't even like Bejeweled games. I just really don't want Zuma Blitz to be the last game you released before being bought by EA. July 2011, the end of PopCap. This is when PopCap was purchased by EA for somewhere between $650 million and $1.1 billion. And this is when everything fell apart. Likely due to the purchase, Popcap didn't release a single game throughout 2011 and 2012. 2013, we got Bejeweled Live and Bejeweled Live Plus, both normal Bejeweled games with the gimmick of comparing your score with other players' scores live. They were for Windows Phone and Xbox 360. That's not all we got in 2013, however. We also got the sequel people had been wanting for years. Plants vs. Zombies 2. Now back then, I was an even younger lad, and I loved Plants vs. Zombies. But when I found out that Plants vs. Zombies 2 would be a mobile exclusive game, even I was a little disappointed. Not for any huge reasons, but I just wanted to play it on the computer, you know? Nevertheless, I went and got my Kindle Fire HD, purchased it, and after 2.5 hours of playing, I realized I didn't like it. It wasn't fun. They tried to revive Peggle, making Peggle 2 for consoles, and then they made Peggle Blast, the mobile game, both of which were terrible. Okay, so I know this is a little bit weird formatting for a video like this, but we're going to have to stop real quick so I can explain the problems with this era of games. If I don't, I'll have to finish going through the games first and then come back to explain the problems, and that's even worse. I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible, so let's go. Okay, so most people I know can agree the games from this era aren't fun, but nobody can pinpoint why exactly. They have all the ingredients, but they just aren't fun. Reviewers give them good ratings, but nobody can really get into them. Normally, this sounds like a classic case of nostalgia goggles, but I disagree. Plants vs. Zombies 2 only came out 4 years after the original, and I didn't even play the original until 2011, so there was really only a 2-year gap for me. So with that out of the way, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about why these games suck, and I think I have it down. It comes down to 2.5 reasons. Number 1, Popcap games were made to be played on PC, not on console or mobile. They are games that are designed to be played with nothing but a mouse. Aiming in Zuma and Peggle just isn't the same on mobile. It isn't fun. You can't get the precise movements or speed that is achieved by using a mouse to play. Number 2, the new games don't have memorable characters and the games don't have charm. I can remember the names of every single character from the original Peggle, and I can remember all their aspirations from Peggle Knight, but I can't tell you a single thing about a single character from Peggle 2. Number 2.5, the new art style is ugly and cheap looking. This is why they tried to use Plants vs. Zombies for most of their new games. It seems like the perfect match. If EA was going to force them to make crappy mobile and console games, then Plants vs. Zombies would be their best bet. Not only is it their most popular IP, but it doesn't take aim or precise controls, only strategy. So it should work just as well on mobile as it does on PC. And when it comes to characters, Plants vs. Zombies only ever had Crazy Dave, so it's not like it had that much to go off of. So why wasn't Plants vs. Zombies too fun? Well, I'll tell you what. Though the mobile game feel has a big part in it, I don't think I'd really enjoy it on PC either. The game has no charm. It doesn't feel like I'm protecting myself. It feels like I'm being sent to wacky places for no reason. I don't feel like I'm progressing through levels, constantly getting closer to the final fight. I feel like I'm just playing through the same level repeatedly with a new gimmick every once in a while. And that has merit to it. The original Plants vs. Zombies is the perfect length, at 50 levels in total plus the minigames. Plants vs. Zombies 2 is 300 levels plus whack minigames. It should work for mobile, but it just doesn't. Peggle 2 has bad controls due to it being on console, but they could be worse. The level design is just as good as the original Peggle, but it still isn't fun. Where Peggle 2 really falls apart is its characters. As I said previously, they suck. These games are almost good, but they just don't feel right on anything but PC. But here's the thing, Popcap has IPs that work perfectly on mobile. Bejeweled works great on mobile, why not make a new mobile Bookworm game? Or mobile and Sand Aquarium game? Or for God's sakes, even a new Chuzzle game? Any of these would work so well on mobile. Or, instead of rehashing IPs from a decade ago, maybe they can make some new ones. Okay, back to the video as normal. In 2014, they finally made something new. Kind of. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare is weird. It's a Plants vs. Zombies themed multiplayer objective based third person shooter. It wasn't too groundbreaking, but it was pretty fun. I remember thinking it might be the weird revitalization of PopCap. If they couldn't make PC games anymore, maybe they would be good at making a different type of game. See, the reason this game was so different than any other PopCap game was because it was made by EA's newly created PopCap Vancouver team. And for a little while, they had a plan that sort of worked. The Vancouver team would make a Garden Warfare type game, then the Seattle team would make a bad mobile game, and the process repeated. It wasn't ideal, but it was better than what we had been getting. But then, after the lukewarm reception of Garden Warfare 2 and Battle for Neighborville, EA decided to shut down Popcap Vancouver. Today, the most recent game we've got is a trailer and demo for Plants vs. Zombies 3. Yep, it's still on mobile. Popcap is the Rareware of the PC era. The similarities are eerie, really. Rareware made good games in the SNES and N64 era. Then after they got purchased by Microsoft, they were delegated to develop games for the Kinect, a platform that crippled everything they made off the bat. Popcap made good games in the PC era. Then after they got purchased by EA, they were delegated to develop games for mobile, a platform that crippled everything they made off the bat. But in 2018, Rareware released Sea of Thieves, a game that, while not perfect, was new, refreshing, and unlike anything they'd ever done. With games like Battletoads and Everwilds on the way, it looks like Rareware might be getting a second chance at making good games. This begs the question for Popcap: will they receive a second chance? Sadly, I think Garden Warfare was that second chance, and it's not the fault of EA that Popcap blew it. Garden Warfare 2 and Battle for Neighborville just weren't good, and that's on Popcap. All I can hope for is that Popcap will survive long enough to begin making good games again, but I think it's too late. How about you? I want to know what you think. Am I just a bitter old nerd looking over my nostalgic treasures, or is Plants vs. Zombies 2 good? Let me know. Doing my outro today is my cousin, so take it away.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm so happy that we just hit 10 million subs and all of your views matter. So go down and subscribe, hit the bell notification, and smash that like button. Thank you.